What's up, everyone? Haven't done this one for a while. Lunchtime, and they provided us some sandwiches and drink. That is not, this video is not sponsored by Schweppes. We got a couple little sandwiches here, so shout out to my bosses for providing that. And yeah, it's not sponsored by Frito-Lay either, but you know, we got these things going on. So while I'm out here, I've been thinking about a conversation that I've been having with a young man who had punched a wall out of anger, and my first response just said, temper. We got to watch those things. But again, we got to tap into these wellness checks with each other. I've done videos in the past where it's men's wellness, and I think that that's a real important key, because this is not in a dating sort of men versus women sort of thing. Think of your sons, think of your fathers, think of your brothers, uncles, coaches, teachers, men that have really meant something to you. It sounds like this guy, this young man's going through some struggles with depression, which is behavioral health as well, is mental, psychological, spiritual, emotional, and it stems from the physical as well. It will impact that. So we really do need to be tapping in and checking in with one another when it comes to that. And when somebody's talking, truly give them the benefit of your listening skills and your skill to discern and understand when helping them is more than just listening. It's actually pointing them in the direction of going and receiving better health, professional health. And that was kind of one of the things that I pointed to. A couple of the things that we had talked about as well was just my knowing, my understanding. And I do think that that's one of the things that's very important, is to align yourself with somebody who, when you're seeking professional counsel or help, that is somewhat alike with you, somewhat akin, someone who may have walked your walk or knows something about it. Because a lot of times you can be aligned with the wrong person in a lot of ways. I've been aligned with the wrong professors and dropped classes because I just knew that it wasn't working in the way that I needed it to for me. And that's okay. And we can do the same thing with therapists. We can do the same thing with counselors, coaches. Sometimes, coaches work out fantastically, and other times it's not a very good experience. But it doesn't mean that we need to quit. It just means we need to find what's going to work for us. So in this instance, I just said, keep on your path. And I had shared, knowing, like, when I was young, how explosively aggressive I could be. And he was talking about how it would somewhat scare his girlfriend, and she would react emotionally, and he would react emotionally with emotion. So I told him, I said, you're reacting like it's fire with fire. You have to put out her fire with your water, which means you have to be in a state of control. And it starts with control. If you stay in control, she doesn't get out of control with emotion, fearing for you or possibly herself based off of these explosive outbreaks. And I told him, I said, I fully understand. I went through that at earlier stages in life. And there is a point where you outgrow it. And he asked when. And I said, well, it's not one particular stage. You outgrow it in stages. And it starts with simple things. Putting away immature behaviors, and then possibly cutting back those friends that you run in wild packs with. And then it gets to not being so recreational with alcohol or drugs or even sex for that matter. And then you just start to see more clarity. You see things more clearly. And he spoke to stresses and how those could bring about depression in his life and things like that. And I said, one of the first things that you can do is really be comfortable with knowing yourself. And he did speak to being on a path with that. So I said, one of the things that I aspire to be is so comfortable that it makes other people uncomfortable. And what I mean by that is not necessarily saying whatever I want, whenever I want, but just being within my own comfort, silently comfortable. And that way you are able to say, I accept these things about myself. We all know that we're not perfect. We all know that we have flaws, but a lot of times we don't do the work that we need to truly to look at ourselves from the inside out without blaming exterior forces to say, well, this is why I did this is why I did that. There's things in life that will happen to us, but how we respond to them is completely up to us. So this is an area where accountability is a huge piece of the puzzle, and being able to say, I take acceptance for my actions, and more importantly, I can apologize to myself for these actions rather than beat myself up over these things and say, why do I do them? You have to learn from these lessons in order to be able to say, okay, I can move on from this and not repeat that. This is really what we want to get to. Now, repetition is a part of it. It doesn't mean that you're going to learn how to do something the first time in any aspect, whether it's building something. You'll be a better builder as you build more, and you will be a stronger representative for yourself in being able to control the things that you need to, i.e. recreational, usage of things, temper control, impulse control, all of those things. Are you good with finances? All of these things are pieces in which you'll be able to come to grips and say, okay, I've maybe not mastered that, but I have control over that. And therefore you have a better foothold on your mental stability, and it will positively impact your emotional, psychological, and your physical. You won't stress as much. The other part that we talked about was living within your means. When you can cut down on financial stresses, you are at a great advantage, in my estimation, that you are not fearing just being a sick day away or a car problem away from being in debt, or really behind on bills and things like that. And for the large majority of people, I'm guessing in the Western world, if not around the world, we're all right there. So the things that I pointed out to him, he was aware of, and I pointed out that he's in a good spot because he and his girlfriend are able to come together and pool their resources. So he's not an individual earner. I'm an individual earner in my household. And so that can be a tough thing at times because everything is based upon what I bring to the home. So anything like recently, some of the past videos, the luxury tax, when I've had car problems and things like that, it takes you a while to catch up on those. And so it can be taxing if you are really stuck in that mindset that I have to catch up. I've been able, I guess, in my mind, to slow things down and feel like I'm at a place where I understand that I'm not going to, break the bank, but I also understand that I'm in a position where I'm doing so much better than a lot of other people. So I'm grateful, and I'm diligent about making sure that I don't slip into further debt or anything like that, but it's going to take time. It's a timing game, but we can't necessarily let that stress us, because that again brings upon anxieties, depressions, and behavioral places where we may act out irrationally, thus scaring the people around us and often ourselves as well, because this, he's got a swollen hand from punching, and I'm grateful that he didn't punch a person, but you can still hurt somebody without actually touching them. And what he doesn't understand, and I explained to him, I said, look, I've scared people back. I know that I have, and I've scared and pushed people away, girlfriends away, probably friends away. I know I've scared my children at times, and there just has to be a point where you realize, like, I have to gain control over this. I can't let outside circumstances swallow me whole, because a lot of the times the things that we are in servitude to are things that we chose. And he has a lot of upside. He has the ability to go to barbering school, and I told him that, he's talking about being able to take loans or pull money from certain, accounts and things like that. And I said, well, I understand he was concerned about it, diminishing his savings, but I said, you're young. And I said, the other half to this is you are also investing in yourself. And what you'll be able to pay back to yourself is going to be a greater amount of money by completing what you want to do, rather than staying in a job that's paying you less. And I said, on top of that, it's going to allow you some amounts of happiness to help you get out of your depression, to go out, succeed, accomplish, and then really pursue what it is that you have an interest in, this being barbering. He's a bright young guy, and I think what he enjoys the most is being a people person, having different people and being able to talk and socialize. And I think that's healthy for a lot of people. I really enjoy that as well. The other parts to this is he would be cutting hair during the day. As you can see around me, it is early morning, late night, whatever you will. And with that, we're working against our biology in a lot of ways. And so when you're working against your biology, your body starts to react in different ways, and for different people it's going to bring about different effects. And so there's just something to that, where I think if he can find himself in his rightful place. I know a lot of us, we don't always find our true purpose in life, but find what's going to make you happy and then do that. And do that with a full heart. And even if it's not what you get to do full time for a job or a career, you still have the opportunity to have your pockets of happiness, rather than to stay in a depressed state, because that's really what takes people under. What are your thoughts? Is there anything that, if you were speaking to not even a young person, just any person who is having some struggles in life, what are some things that you would pass on? Is there anything that I missed? I'm sure there always are, because the conversation has ebbs and flows, but what's your ace? I'm looking for my aces: advice, comment, experiences. And I know a lot of you have some fantastic stuff as far as lived experiences. And because we all come from such vastly different areas and have lived our own fruitful lives, then we have the ability to be able to say, well, this is what I learned along those ways, and sometimes it matches up with exactly what that person is going through, but you just found a different way to go through it. So anything that would I can read, that you guys can leave in the comments, that I can impart or maybe just think on, and possibly for the next person I'm fortunate enough to have share parts of their life with, that I can express more knowledge, more experiences. I would love to be a vessel for that. So I hope this finds everybody in a place, pursuit, or beginnings of total health, mind, body, and soul. And we will see you very soon. Peace, love, unity, solidarity.